So, I apologize in advance if I break into a bunch of coughing fits. I'm still sick. Just thought this would be a fun time to talk about the newest Sanders side and kind of say what I liked about it. Because I'm a nerd and that's what I want to do right now. Because who would be a functional adult? I also look pretty fun. Just got off work and watched the episode. So... no, I really liked this episode. I made a couple notes because I have to write everything down on paper or I forget it. So I want to talk about some of the things I like and then some of the reasons I really liked this episode, particularly. It's not my favorite episode, but it's one that hits close for me. So first off, I feel like a lot of people love this, but I really love this exploration in, it's just a little bit there. But this exploration into Virgil's past and, where he came from and getting just, a little bit of backstory from all of them, saying, I feel like this is obvious, but it's going to have spoilers if you haven't watched it. I don't know why you're watching this either. What YouTube hole did you fall down to find my channel? Anyways. So, I was one of them. I love that it kind of pulls into the idea of, there's light and dark sides, and it's kind of being explored. At least I think it is, and I like the idea of it, that, just because they're technically a light side doesn't mean that they encompass all good, and just because they're a dark side doesn't mean they encompass all bad, as we kind of have seen with the arc of Virgil. And, I don't know, I really like that. Love puns. I love puns. So that was very great. I liked the writing in that. So another note that's on here is the duality of each side. I really like seeing, that there are times that Virgil's vigilance and being on edge is seen as really helpful and something that's necessary, and it's also seen as, what's keeping him up at night. And Patton determined to be this good person and to help Thomas be this good person, turning into the same thing, keeping him up at night because he's determined that these are a bad thing. That I like seeing that duality, and it goes into the other one of seeing that they're not just good or bad or light and dark, and that's a very human thing, and I like seeing that. I like that embodiment of it. I told you I was gonna be coughing. Sorry, this is my nervous. I throw peace signs everywhere, and I have a friend who teases me, so I'm hyper aware. But I saw on Tumblr that people were whining about how little Logan we'd seen, especially in this in the previous episode of Sanders Sides, where despite it being a lawyer episode where you think it would feature Logan quite predominantly, it ended up being a lot more of Virgil and Deceit and Roman and Patton. And so it was really cool to have so much Logan in one episode after there kind of being a shortage of him. I don't know. That was something I liked. I like when they're all in it like that. I love the editing advancements that have been made. And I know he credits a couple of people in it, but that it's been becoming more and more prevalent and more present. But I remember when the 12 Days of Christmas Sanders Side episode came out, and they were all four on one, and I remember just being floored and so excited for it because they were in the same space. And then we've had just so much of these sides interacting with each other. We've had Papa Patton and Virgil hug. We've had the split screen for the rap battle. We have Remus popping up behind the TV with Roman still standing there, and I absolutely love seeing that. I love seeing that editing because for me it just shows the growth and advancement of Thomas and his channel. I'm really liking seeing that. I think it's really cool. So maybe this wasn't on purpose, but I'm going to read into it like it was. I really loved that the eyeshadow on Virgil this episode was so much more than it usually is. It's usually just a little bit, but it was really dark and really low, which last time we saw was in his room where he was kind of exaggerated and put on more. And so it was really cool to like see that, and I don't know if like there's a canon reason for that, if it's, you know, the lack of sleep or the fact that he had been so anxious that night before. I don't know. I really liked that kind of effect, and seeing that, I thought it was a really cool little hidden detail. I like, because I'm going to be that person, I like that Remus had a name so quickly, and I think it almost goes hand in hand with the idea of, you know, like, so Deceit, we still don't, as far as I know, I mean, I could be wrong, but we still don't know Deceit's name, because he's more about, like, lies and trying, you know, just that kind of thing, that I like seeing that duality within the dark sides, that, you know, Remus is like, I have nothing to hide, just look, you're a bad person, my name is Remus. And to Deceit, who's like, are you really a good person, or are you really a bad person, or are you even a bad person at all? And, you know, like, he's more secretive, so I like seeing that kind of, once again, duality. How many times can I say that in this? You know, if I really feel like editing, I'll put a little ding counter up here. How many times did Tessa say duality? I liked just like another little detail aspect of it. I really liked the gray streak that Remus has in his hair. Because for me, you know, it kind of signifies older content, or like more mature content, that, you know, it's his way of aging himself, or aging the content. I'm sorry about my cat. Apparently he's just gonna meow. If you can hear that, that's my cat. But I thought that was a really cool little touch to like his costume, and being the parallel, like it's kind of touched in the episode of that Roman is light and Duke is dark. And I've coughed off in my mouth, sorry if it makes any weird noises. I could probably go on for a long time, but I kind of wanted to more talk about, like, one of the reasons this isn't my favorite episode. I don't know if I could tell you my favorite episode. It's kind of been a while since I really thought about it. But something I really liked about this episode for me was I have ADHD. I don't expect you to know anything about me. I'm some stranger you're binge watching a YouTube hole on the internet of. But I have attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which means that, well, I might not have more impulsive thoughts than someone, I'm more likely to act on them, which makes me, like, in context of this episode, makes me sound like a sketchy person. But it's just more like my brain is going really, really fast all the time, and all the time I can be really hard to keep up with, and so I'm trying to, like, kind of keep this together, and it's, you know, why I have notes, because otherwise I don't make any sense to anyone. But something I really liked about this episode was kind of discussing, because I guess maybe not everyone goes through it, but I know a lot, like, I'll just have this thought come into my mind, and it just is so horrible that you're just completely kind of shocked by it. You're like, what the heck is my brain doing up there? That you're just so floored and so shocked by this thought that it becomes to a point that it's almost all you can think about, and that it's kind of terrifying when you're like, this came out of my brain. And so for me, I really liked this episode because it personally gave me a couple of ways to kind of help deal with these thoughts, but also just addressing that it's a real thing. And so my cat's at it again. No, I really appreciated that. And, you know, like, I've seen some people kind of say they miss some of the lighter heart episodes, and there are times that I kind of miss that too. But I like the idea of delving into these real world problems and these real world things, and that going into these kind of intrusive thoughts, and just knowing that I think it makes a world of difference for anyone to know that you're not alone when you go through these kind of things. And I don't know, just for me, this episode hit a little closer home. It hit a little closer to home than I kind of expected it to. And, you know, it's all ready for a Sanderside episode, and it ended up being about intrusive thoughts and the kind of thoughts that you feel like you don't have control over, and that you almost do wonder if they make you a bad person for having them. So I really like this episode. But just knowing that you're not alone with these kind of things. And my cat is really on one. You hear him? You could probably hear my iPad notifications, but man, my cat's just out there having fun. I appreciated this episode, and I appreciate Thomas and his team being willing to kind of dive into the... I appreciate Thomas and his team being willing to dive into these kind of heavier topics and these kind of more intense topics, because I think it's one, they're always, for me, you know, like, even though I'm about to turn 21, it's sometimes nice to have things down at like a simpler level, that they have moved on to these kind of more serious, more adult topics, and that they're not afraid to discuss them with realness. I don't know. Had a lot of fun. I liked this episode, and I want to say thanks to everyone who did it. You did a wonderful job. It's exciting to see.